Welcome in to the Toyota Lounge. Today, unfortunately, the Toyota Lounge is the Losers Lounge because the Broncos lost, which sucks. This is the DNVR Broncos Podcast presented by our friends over at Bet365. I always want to double check. We love Bet365. I did so well this morning. Lost all that on that Broncos game. I'm Henry Chisholm. That's Todd Davis right there. You guys all saw the game probably if you're watching this or listening to this later. But the Broncos lost 26-20. What's your initial reaction to all this, Todd?
I didn't love it.
No,
no, I did not love watching the game. I think it was a tough loss. There was a lot of good that I saw though. I mean, 2 safeties in one game. We talked about that. It hasn't happened in a long time. I think for the most part, defense played really well in the first half. Second half, not so much. I think we started losing a little bit of leverage on the ground game. I think that's what was really keeping us in the game. But, football is always a tricky sport. I think, for how the game went, for us to even be there, with 2 minutes left to go in the game, only down 6, if we get one stop, we get the ball back and we kind of are still in this thing. It's crazy to be in that position. Didn't love it. I think Bo can improve and grow. He's a rookie, so we shouldn't be pissed. But I mean, he's young. He'll get better over time. But just my initial reaction is, I thought we were going to be a little bit better than what we were.
I think so too. I think that's probably my big takeaway. Also, is that they just, even in that first half, they found a way to take the lead into halftime. They didn't do it in a pretty way. You give them respect for what they did on special teams. What the defense did in that first half, it was ugly though. They just kind of stuck to their fundamentals in some moments where the Seahawks did not.
Yep.
And that was enough for them to kind of take that lead. But like you said, as soon as the defense kind of lost its and they were shutting down that running game. For sure. But then that second half, it just opened up, and all of a sudden you've got touchdown drives happening, full length of the field drives, and the offense just couldn't keep up with that. And the offense is definitely the big story today, but the difference in the game was that the defense, the special teams were so good early, able to keep them in it, and then eventually that just wasn't sustainable.
Yeah, it kind of tapered off. And the offense, I guess, really didn't make a big shift to be elite really either. Kind of at the same time the defense transition is when the offense, it never really made an adjustment. The first half, I think we get 6 points, but it was off of 2 turnovers. Second half, we do score, we get in the end zone, but we never really got anything going. Kind of felt like 4-yard passes and kind of felt run attempts throughout the entire game.
Definitely. Again, the running game early on was good. They were finding ways to get their running backs to the second level, allow them to make some plays, but that just didn't. It wasn't sustainable into the second half. I want to jump to this end of the game first. So the Broncos put that drive together, go the length of the field. Bo Nix caps it off with the touchdown run. That's what you're building off of, right? That last drive right there is why we can be excited about Bo going forward, I think.
Yeah, I think it's tough in a game like this because you want the Broncos to win, but ultimately you just want to see flashes of good things from a young quarterback. And I think when he put that last drive together, was able to find the end zone, that's a good flash for us to see as a fan base to be like, okay, he's not perfect, but maybe he can put some things together, and if he can continue to do more things like this, it'll end up being good for the Broncos.
Yeah, and he was hitting his throws on that drive. There are the quick outs, there's the little curls against zone, those spacing concepts. There were things that he was doing well. Obviously, used his legs well also. Where I kind of wonder where that was maybe for the rest of the game. Not that what a lot of what happened in that drive was groundbreaking. Like it was pretty basic stuff. But you were able to find the 5, 6, 7 yards consistently in a way that they just were not able to earlier in the game.
Yeah, I think earlier in the game when they did try to find anything over 5 yards, it was interception or PBU.
Close.
I mean, there was 2 interceptions thrown today, and I think there was about 2 or 3 other ones that were PBUs that guys dropped that almost could have been interceptions. So you want to call the shots downfield. You want to be able to create, 10 to 15-yard plays, but when it's resulting in turnovers and almost turnovers, you kind of got to stick to your bread and butter, and that's what they had to do in the second half. But also as the Seattle defense understanding that, okay, now we're going to play everything super shallow. We're not going to take deep drops. We're going to play a little bit more man, get body to body, because they feel the nervousness coming from our sideline. They don't want to go deep. Let's play everything, make them earn every catch they have, and that's what they made them do in the second half.
Totally. And, I mean, they do get down the field. They score the touchdown, and the defense almost gets off the field. The offense, I think it was really important that they scored with that 2-minute warning still to go. Last opportunity, they did it. All of a sudden, you stuff the first run, you stuff the second run. You're sitting there with another timeout. It's like a 3rd and 11, I think. And you're thinking, okay, this is the chance to get off the field. And Baron Browning jumps offside. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you give them a second chance at it. Because the first one looked like they had it. Got the ball to Noah Fant. Noah wasn't quite able to get the angle it looked like he should have been able to get. And you could have gotten off the field there, but you give him the second opportunity on an undisciplined play. And again, you're inches away. Riley Moss, he's a step away from getting right there, knocking that ball away. But yeah, that's sometimes they're growing pains with a young cornerback as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like this game is a game of like gimmies. I don't know if anybody truly beat if the other team truly beat us, if the Seattle Seahawks really beat us, or if they were beating themselves and we were beating ourselves.
The only time I would say like they did that themselves was probably the punt where Riley Dixon pinned him at the 1-yard line. Yeah. And all of a sudden that's a safety. You're like, okay, awesome. you kind of did that. Yeah. Like, but that's a weird example for going and winning a game.
But that's about it. Yeah. Because you look about the one of the safeties, the other safety was a holding penalty in the end zone. That's truly just undisciplined football by that guard to hold in the end zone. Jalil's
just
fumble.
Hold on to the ball.
Yep.
Audrich's decision to jump over somebody when he fumbled.
Hold on to the ball.
The guy knocked it out, but also what are you doing?
You think about the punt hitting the guy in the face, man. It's like you've been back there catching punts all off season, all summer. Like you should be able to field that in.
You would think.
Jumping off sides with the game on the line. Like that's gimme plays. It's not even making the team beat you. That's just giving it to the other team. And it's week 1, so some of that's going to happen. But we just got a lot of things that we can kind of get better at, I feel like, as a team.
Yeah. I kind of thought that if the Broncos got the ball back, they were going to give it a good run. I'm not sure I was sold that with, minute 50 on the clock, whatever it would have been, they could have gone probably 70, 60 yards and scored. But it felt like after seeing them do it on the previous drive, I thought they were at least going to get across midfield and have like a bit of have something to show for the day. But did you feel the same way?
It's funny because I honestly felt like if they got the ball back, I thought they were going to score and win the game. Yeah. And I was going to come in here and talk about how that was the ugliest win I had ever seen in my entire life.
Instead, it's an ugly loss. That sucks.
But yes, it's an ugly loss. But it did feel like, push come to shove, they could get down the field one last time. I've watched the team.
Mm-hmm. You're up close, yes.
Up close.
Coach Todd, of course.
Yes. In the past. And there were times where I felt like if they got 6 points up, or they were even up by like the game's over. Mm-hmm. And I was happy to say that it didn't feel like that this time. I still feel like if we get one more stop, there was hope left in the game.
Yep. We're going to dig really deep into Bo's game here. Into his game, Todd. In 5 minutes or so, but just kind of wrapping this up, the kind of big thoughts on what just happened. This isn't the most talented team. I think you see all the lists in the offseason that say like this is the least talented team in the NFL, and that's still probably wrong. But you go through training camp, you see these guys play, and you're like, okay, they have some things here. They have some things that like they might have the pieces that they need to make a big push. I leave this game thinking this is not a super talented team, and you really are not going to have much margin for error unless Bo Nix totally turns the page and the rest of the way through he's winning Rookie of the Year. If Bo Nix is just kind of similar to what the Broncos quarterbacks have been the past 8 years, this is going to be really, really tough given just the where the roster stands.
Yeah, I definitely feel where you're going and feel you on this. On the offensive side of the ball, I do feel like we need more weapons. But defensively, I thought we had a lot of great opportunities. Yep. I think Zach Allen played a great game.
He did.
I thought Alex Singleton played a great game. I thought Riley Moss, for his first game as a starter, played a really, really great game. I think there was like two or three throws and he was like inches away from making big plays on. Even that last one, like that was a great catch by Lockett and a great throw by Geno Smith. Like he's in great position. He gets the stop. Like I thought ultimately he played a great game. Pat was locked down once again. There were good things that happened on the defensive side of the ball that I feel like we can build from. I do feel like we need a little bit more playmaking on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you just look through Jaleel McLaughlin. He gets 10 carries, 2.7 yards. You have Javonte. He gets 8 carries, 2.9 yards. It's not all their fault. They were buried in the backfield. There were a couple plays where they should have lost more yards than they did.
Yep.
But you just didn't see enough juice there, and there certainly wasn't enough from the receivers to balance that out. Courtland Sutton, to me, is a number 1 receiver in the NFL. He also had 2 big drops today. And when you have the one guy who's supposed to be trustworthy drop those passes, it's going to be a really long day because, Josh Reynolds did some nice things. There was one more ball that he could have brought in that would have made a big difference. Marvin Mims hardly got out there. Little Jordan Humphrey was quiet. Kind of what do you expect? Devon Vele, they kind of force-fed him. It was nice to see. 8 catches, only 39 yards, a lot of short stuff. He's a fun young piece, but he certainly isn't ready to be the type of guy who goes and wins games. And while you can go through all those guys and say, I don't mind having that, like that's not holding you back too much. It's just tough when you watch other games and you see, 49ers the most extreme example, but you're like, oh, there's Ayuk, there's Debo. You turn on the Bengals and it's like, oh, there's Jamar Chase. You just don't have these special athletes at this point on the offensive side of the ball that can be the reason you go and win games. Like you're really hoping just to be a well-oiled machine that can convert a bunch of third downs because you've turned them into third and shorts. And that's just it's not a good place to be, I don't think. I think defensively you're right. I think defensively they have enough talent. I think that there's still a couple spots where I have questions. Edge rusher was kind of I really like all the guys.
2 sacks.
Today, seeing Jonathan Cooper, though, you're like, there you go.
Yep.
You have one of those guys who you're like, he's ready. He's a starter in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. The second linebacker spot, though, one of the spots where I don't know what you're doing there because we saw Cody Barton, we saw Christian Welch, we saw a whole lot of times where they only threw one linebacker out there. So this team is still very much a work in progress.
Yeah, I don't like the little rotation they're doing at inside linebacker. I got to be honest about that. I think Cody has done a good enough job throughout training camp to get the starting job. And no disrespect to Welch, but that's just how I feel, and that's my opinion. So you can like it, you can hate it. I'm gonna say it. Yeah, but no, I agree. I think they're a work in progress. I know Vance likes to mix things up with his defense. That's why you're going to see linebackers up in the A-gap. You may see five guys on the line, 1 linebacker. You may see 4 guys on the line with 2 linebackers. He definitely tries to mix it up to kind of, keep the offense on their toes. For that reason, I feel like, like you said, they have enough talent to be successful. It's just about putting it all together for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
They were great for 30 minutes. I think 60 minutes, they just kind of got a little bit tired or winded and weren't really hitting their gaps the way that they need to.
I agree. There's a lot to talk about with Bo Nix and his day back. And it seems like the majority of you decided to stay and wait for us, which we appreciate. Like I said, Bo Nix talk coming up next because there's a lot to talk about with him. First, though, got to tell you that we love this Toyota Lounge and we love Toyotas. All of you in the Toyota chat, we want you to remember that your chats today are delivered by the 2024 4Runner. And, Toyotas are awesome. If you were to drive to Seattle for this game, hopefully you didn't because that'd be a long way. But a nice Tundra might be the best way to get out there. They've got the all-new 2024 Tacoma, the return of the iconic Land Cruiser, 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like that 4Runner, 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you: Auto Nation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, the official vehicle of DNVR.
And shout out to UC Health and their Ready, Set, Co challenge. Coach Prime wants to help you and other Coloradians be your healthiest selves as Chief Motivation Officer of UC Health's Ready, Set, Co. Coloradians, that's right?
Coloradans.
Coloradans?
Yes.
The goal of the challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state. I think it's very important to be healthy and be mindful and get out there and be active, whether it's hiking, kayaking, just being out there biking. There's a lot of stuff you can do in Colorado to be active and be healthy. Part of that challenge is mindfulness. So Mindfulness Prime is here to encourage us to chill. Whatever that means to you: music, meditation, connecting with nature, painting, and yoga. My thing would probably be music, meditation. I meditate in the mornings. It's great to get my day started right after I work out. I take my shower. Don't know if Hank does that, but I take my shower, and then I get to my meditation, and it's always perfect. If you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Co challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Co.
All right. Everybody was really excited to see Bo Nix today. It's the rookie's debut, first round pick, first rookie to start for the Broncos week 1 since John Elway, first rookie captain since 1967. The hype was through the roof. He did not live up to that hype. He finished with 26 completions on 42 attempts, 138 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. He also ran for 35 yards, including a touchdown. The last drive was good, but the rest of it was really, really, really rough.
Yeah, it wasn't his best outing. I mean, there's a big difference between the preseason and the regular season. Yep. I think things are going to look a lot different, and you won't have the ability to have as many pre-snap reads and feel comfortable before the ball is snapped. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of changing and rotating of safety. So, it's a lot for him to handle as a young rookie. Mm-hmm. I do feel like they tried to take things off his plate.
Yep.
By having a lot of the running game, but then they also did throw in a lot of RPOs to make him feel comfortable. Don't know if every read was perfect on the RPO, but I did see it implemented in the game. He's not there yet, and that's okay. It's his first game. We don't have to, hit the alarm button. We don't have to panic, but I think that, it's a work in progress for sure.
Definitely. Can we hit this super chat right now? Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people saying this, and it's not necessarily wrong. But Jordan says, also, thank you for the $20. Appreciate that. This is what you should expect when you go ultra-conservative to protect your rookie quarterback. Call this game like you don't have a rookie under center, and this is a win for the Broncos. Also, maybe try Forsythe instead of Wattenberg. I agree. I think that there were a lot. I think the offense was kind of locked down by the fact that they were playing within a box. They were not trying to go downfield. They didn't spend as much time in shotgun as you would probably expect, given that Bo only played in the shotgun in college. But you want him to hand the ball off to the running backs, make things easy on him. It's going to come with some limitations. My only pushback is just that when they did throw downfield, the ball was in harm's way the entire time. When they did take the leash off, the results were bad. I mean, there are a lot of really bad stats from this game. This one comes from our friend Mace, who tweeted that this is the 10th time in NFL history that there's been a quarterback who's thrown 40 passes and hasn't put up 140 yards. And so he had 42 passes, 138 yards. It was rough. And I get why when you're sitting there in a 3-point game in the third quarter, you wouldn't say, let's give the ball to Bo Nix and let him go win it. you say we got to find a way as a team to get something going, and the running backs are probably more likely to find success than Bo is.
Yeah, and I think that for Bo, it is tough going up against a good defensive coordinator. We talked about it and how McDonald was the defensive coordinator of the Ravens and had the #1 defense last year.
Yep.
How are they going to be able to translate that as the Seahawks now head coach? Is he going to have a lot to say within their defensive scheme? And obviously, whatever he's teaching them is working out really well.
It really is.
I think in part it is Bo getting better, but in part I think he did face a tough team schematically to be your first outing as a rookie, quarterback.
Totally. I totally agree. And I also think, in preseason, you go back and watch a Packer game, for example. They're playing cover 3 the whole game. Not only are they playing cover 3, they're lining up in the most prototypical cover 3 defense you'll find. Just like the corners, the safety. Like, exactly what it is before the snap. They do exactly that after the snap. Bo was carving him up, just hitting that little gap in the middle of the field. They're just easy answers when you see that defense. As soon as you get to the regular season, it's totally different.
For sure.
As we saw today. Like, they're disguising things, they're sending blitzes. They're defenses that they'll call that Bo Nix has never played against before and won't see again for, a month or two. Like, that's just the nature of it, and you got to get used to figuring out what all these different things are. On top of that, there's the talent difference. Tariq Woolen, when he makes that interception, I never saw a good example of it when the ball's supposed to go to Courtland Sutton. When you have a guy who's 6'4" and runs a 4.2 or whatever it is, low 4.3, it changes the dynamic. Like you say, there's court on a dig. Well, guess what? This guy might just be a good enough athlete that he can outrun him across the field and make that play. And I think there was some of that. I think that there was some issue with just the talent and the ability to make plays that the defense had that maybe surprised Bo.
Yeah, he looks open, but he's not open.
He's not open against him. And then also there's just the schematic differences. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Some of those plays were tough, man, and until you really understand scheme, one in particular play, Courtland looked open, and by the time the ball got there was 3 defenders in front of him. It's not truly open, and you got to understand kind of how schemes work and how guys are flowing in and out of zones and how quick they are to really, catch up to different wide receivers. So it's tough on Bo, and I think Bo he could really utilize somebody who is a guaranteed mismatch. I think Courtland is, but I think it's harder to make those throws on the outside. One-on-one, you got to put the ball right where it needs to be for Courtland to go up and get it, and it has to be called and schemed that way. I think in the interior, he needs a Travis Kelce type or Edelman.
Yeah.
Just this guy's going to be a mismatch on the linebacker. Just get him the ball and we'll live to play another down.
Yep.
I don't think we have that right now. So everything that Bo is doing, he has to think through and really contemplate and really understand what defenses are being played against him instead of just having a quick outlet, dump off the ball and let him get 5 yards and live to play another down.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that it's just disappointing to have it go this way. Because there's another world where he goes out there and throws 2 touchdowns instead of 2 interceptions. And we're saying okay, Bo looks like he's for real. He's ready. And instead, we're trying to figure out where exactly he stands, because he does look like one of a bottom tier NFL quarterback at this point, just based on what we saw. And he's a young guy and he's going to grow, but what does that trajectory look like? Are we hoping that by mid-season he's maybe found a way to be a guy who puts up a consistent 90, 95 passer rating? Are we talking the end of the season, or is this something that can go quickly? But over the past month or 2 months, the hype is kind of built in Denver to the point where people thought playoffs might be possible. And when you see a game like this, it just feels like it is more so of again, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, it brings you back down to earth.
Yep.
It brings you back down to earth and understanding what it really means to have a rookie quarterback and what that means for the team.
It's not fun.
No, it's not fun, but I guess a bright spot is he did have more yards than Caleb Williams, even though they got a win, and he did have more yards than Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
And they lost, but nevertheless, it's just rookie quarterbacks. It's not so much Bo is bad, Bo is good, but you know what I'm saying? I think he's just a rookie. It's hard to really even say if he's good or bad yet. You know what I'm saying? I think for the first half of the season, the first 9 games, he's just a rookie. Like, I don't think we should label him good. We shouldn't label him bad. He'll just be a rookie.
Yep, I agree. And I think that, the first week of the preseason, I guess you were coaching, you weren't with us, but that first game, the results were great. He was able to get the ball to the receiver. Receiver made a play. The stats were awesome. They scored plenty. But, you saw some issues with the footwork. You saw him bailing out clean pockets. You saw him running when there were open receivers. You saw some of these little mistakes that didn't show up in week 2 and didn't show up in week 3. Again, in the preseason, you're able to, if you make the wrong decision and decide that you're going to run instead of throw, it's not going to hurt you that badly. But when you do that against a starting caliber NFL defense and a really good defensive coordinator, all of a sudden it does look a lot uglier and the numbers are a lot uglier. So, you look at next week, you got the Steelers coming to town, and that's a defense that's going to provide an entirely different challenge because this week, Bo wasn't pressured all that much. There were a couple of examples of plays where he was pressured, but having seen what we've seen over the past 8 years in Denver, it really wasn't that bad. He generally was protected pretty well.
Yeah. You
go up against TJ Watt, especially, Garrett Bowles leaves with the ankle injury. Next week is a totally different sort of test, I think. You're taking a beating. There's no way getting around that. It's just, can you still find a way to be productive despite the fact that you're going to get hit half the time you throw the ball?
Yeah, it's going to be a real one. It's going to be hard in different ways, like you're saying. My hope is that Garrett Bowles is okay. Pause.
Yep. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
I hope that Garrett Bowles is okay because we definitely need him. We saw what he was able to do against Myles Garrett last year. And then ultimately, I think pass protecting, he is our best O-lineman, whether anybody wants to hear it or not. He is our best pass protecting O-lineman, so we need him. And I hope his ankle heals up. Not a lack of faith in Perk, but your starters are your starters for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I think I won't have much else on Bo right now. I am curious once they put that All-22 out just to see what was going on out there because it felt like he was not finding any open receivers. So I'm curious going back and looking at if there were open receivers and he wasn't seeing them or if the coverage was just so good that he did what he could. And it really didn't feel like that was the case.
No, it felt like there was a lot of zone being played, but the routes weren't really threatening anybody's zone responsibilities. Like the way that you are able to expand different zones, you have kind of like 2 guys running in the same zone, and the defender in that zone has to pick one, and then you throw the ball to the other one. Well, in this game, it felt like guys were running into zones, and they were scot-free just waiting for Bo to throw them an interception, or they were just waiting for the new route to come back. No, there was no pressure on any of the defenders to kind of like choose one guy to defend or not, and then Bo just make the right decision.
Huh. Interesting. Empire gave us our floors, and we appreciate that. I remember when we first built the studio, we had floors. We had like new floors put in, and everybody was told, don't drag anything on these floors up here on the set because it's bad for the floors. Everybody did drag things, and so they got all torn up and pretty gross. But Empire, when was that? The spring maybe, gave us some new floors. And despite everybody still dragging things, they look incredible. Empire floors are awesome. If you've been thinking about getting new floors, that's obviously our recommendation. If you go to empiretoday.com/DNVR, they can help you out. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today where all listeners receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
And shout out to Restera Credit Union. The older you get, you understand that you don't just want your money in the bank, you want your money in the credit union. So they build your credit, and they actually have better rates as far as mortgages, home loans, car loans. They definitely take care of you. Westera Credit Union was founded in 1934 right here in Colorado. They have 9 locations in Denver. They are all about helping members financially prosper. Education is their thing. They were started by a group of 8 school teachers, so helping others is in their DNA. As a member, you'll see that they come through in every interaction. It's all about the local community with these guys. They have just launched the 90th anniversary CD that offers 9% annual percentage yield. Yes, you heard that right. 9% annual percentage yields on a 5-month certificate of deposit. And I'll be honest, guys. I have some money invested. I don't know anywhere else, maybe in the U.S., where you can get 9% on your money. I think that's a win. You can start by earning high interest on balances as low as $500 and a max of $300. This will only be for a limited time, so head to BasteraCU.com to learn more.
All right. Do we have our UC Health moment of the game, Yaya? Oh, well, as you can see, we're talking about our UC Health extraordinary moment of the game. We went with the safeties. Those are kind of big moments. I think the plays, not the players.
I was like,
yeah.
What game were you watching?
Awesome that they were able to make that happen. How much credit do you give the Broncos for those two safeties?
I think that's I give them a lot of credit. Because the first one was just being disciplined and understanding your gap in your assignment. So DJ Jones puts pressure on the guy that's blocking him, causes him to hold him, and as soon as it happens, he looks right at the ref like that's a safety, right? He knows the game. He understands what that means. So I think that's all coaching, and I think that is playing hard that got that penalty call.
Yeah.
So I'll put that on the Broncos.
I agree. The one with the punt, very easy to give him credit.
Yeah.
The one that came off a pick, I guess you could give Bo some credit for setting that one up. And they took advantage. They forced the holding against DJ Jones. I think we spoke at the time and said DJ's probably not chasing the quarterback down from behind. Probably could have let him go. But, hey, he drew the hold, so credit to him. So those are our moments of the game.
And the second one was Zach Allen.
Yes.
Nice swim move on the goal line.
And he looked awesome today.
Had a great game the entire game. I thought he played really, really well to start the season. So I think that was all him being able to make that play in the backfield, get the runner down. And the thing about it is, because of the first safety had already happened, we knew that they're not going to try and throw it again because we saw the result. So blitz everybody, and it ended up working out. And Zach Allen came through, beat his man. Great play by him.
Who else stood out to you on defense?
Alex Singleton, I thought, had a pretty good game.
Yeah, there was
a few tackles that he missed, but overall, I think the way he jump-started the defense with that pick, I think that's why the first half looked as good as it did. I talk to him often. I just kind of tell him, like, his energy that he brings when he makes big plays, it changes the entire dynamic of the defense. And I think that pick really set up the defense to have a successful first half, and I think that's the reason why they did. So I thought he looked good. Pat Surtain is Pat Surtain, man. I think he had a great game.
Yeah.
Locked down DJ Metcalf.
Couple penalties.
Ultimate trash penalties. It was the one holding, right?
I thought there might have been one earlier, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I thought that was it was trash. I mean, you can't get open, you can't get open. Come on now. Let's not start calling penalties for no reason. Yeah. I thought Jonathan Cooper looked really well. I think he had 2 sacks, and he got the sacks the way that he likes the pressure. You know, he's not Nick Bonito where he's going to run around you every play and try to win with speed. Like, he's a power rusher. He's dominant. He was able to use his hands to get to the quarterback, so I thought that looked really well as well.
Yeah. You know, I watched that game from Pat and thought, like, he was fine. You know, maybe could have done a little bit more, like gave up a couple. And then you go back and look. DK Metcalf had 3 catches for 29 yards.
And not all, and they weren't on Pat either. I think 2 of them were.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the thing is anytime Pat gives up a catch, it just sticks out in your mind because you're not used to seeing it. And you realize, like, yeah, that really was. Metcalf was hardly a factor at all in this game. I'm curious to see what this team looks like next week because this offensive line for the Seahawks isn't all that good, but they still were able to manufacture a couple of big runs.
Yeah.
And that's something we saw early last season and occasionally throughout the season. But are you concerned at all by, Kenneth Walker got hot. The 23-yarder was the big one. Is that something that you're worried about, or is that just what kind of comes with the territory of playing an hour of football?
Well, I think Kenneth Walker's a good running back. I think he's underrated, so they weren't playing the slouch. I'm not worried, but I don't like when they happened. I think early on they did a great job of stopping it, and that means that the Seahawks saw something on film.
Yeah.
And then later on went and attacked it, and we weren't able to adjust, and that's the thing I don't like about it. And then I think there was a few missed tackles that I think could be corrected. So
True.
a little bit more adjusting on our side in the second half, and then also ultimately just making the tackles that come your way, I think will be huge for the Broncos.
I think that's probably right. It seemed like things opened up a little bit on the ground for the Seahawks once they started hitting some passes. Because early on, they couldn't get anything going in the passing game or the running game. And so you're able to just commit all those assets. Everybody's just flying downfield in the running game. But then as soon as you start worrying a little bit about those couple balls over the middle, it just changes the dynamic a bit.
Yeah, it changes what calls you on. How many passing yards did Tyler Lockett have? How many
Lockett had 6 catches, 77 yards. He's just a vet. Like even that last catch that he had where it's the little crosser with Riley right there. Riley's faster than him.
Yeah.
But he's still able to just pluck the ball out from way out here. It's a good throw to put it right there,
and that's
too.
a lot of traffic. I mean,
Totally.
You're man-to-man outside leverage, and this guy is running to the other hash, and I got to find a way. They call it tailpipe. I got to find a way to get behind him, then get in front of him to make the play on the other side. Like, I think you lose from the beginning just off of alignment. And that's just how the play is designed. And, he did his best to try and get there. But, I mean, in his first outing, 77 yards, I don't think he had a bad game. I'm going to keep saying that until somebody proves me wrong. I think Riley Moss really can be a good cornerback. I really think he can.
12 tackles for Riley today. Just kind of crazy. And usually you look at that and say, like, not good for a corner. But he was really making some good plays in the run game. And we had the tackle for loss really early on. I agree. I'm encouraged by what I saw from Riley. There was room for a couple more plays. Just so many they were just a couple inches away. Again, that last one being a great example. If that gets knocked down, all of a sudden it's a great game. And he's close enough to making so many of those that I'm not worried. Was he called for that pass interference too? Was that him on the sideline where it looked like the quarterback hadn't thrown the ball? It's like that's one where it's just kind of a tough break.
Yeah.
That's a good play.
Oh, no. That was Jaquan.
Was that Jaquan?
That was a great play because if you guys know the rules, if the quarterback is out of the pocket, you can push the wide receiver out of bounds, and that means he cannot be the first person to touch the ball, and that is not illegal. If he's in the pocket, you can't push him. But he was out of the pocket. He pushed him, which is like a heads-up play, something that they teach you, and then he got called for a penalty, and I thought that was trash. But real quick, going back to Riley Moss's tackles, he had 12, which is actually a bad thing because you don't want your corners to have that many tackles. And that also makes me realize that the second half, if you watch the game, they made our corners tackle. That was the difference. Because there was one point we were watching the game, you're like, Alex only has one tackle.
Yeah.
And now that I think back to it, they were trying to make our corners tackle the whole second half. And even one of the plays that got called back, that was a touchdown, they had a crack block and tried to make Pat be the one that was the tackler. So that may be a trend, for other teams because it's a copycat league. So I would look for other teams to try and make our corners tackle.
I mean, it's like what we talked about before the game where the Broncos want their cornerbacks to tackle. Because for the Broncos, you've got that front seven. Of course, teams are going to try to get to the edge, and I guess at this point you need to see it coming. We're going to have our guy Zach call in just a couple of minutes. Real quick, let's finish these off and say that Bet365 is awesome. Wow, I really did well with my bets this morning. I have to go through and see what they all look like. Had the Patriots money line, that was a big one. Bears money line was easy. Same thing with Texans; those weren't great value. Steelers money line was a big one. I just barely missed that Cardinals one. Over on the Justin Fields rushing yards, it was a really good day. Oh, and the Rockies one too. Then I put too much of that money on the Broncos, and don't worry, I'm gonna get it back next week when they play the Steelers. But Bet365 is awesome. They put out more than 10,000 boosts per month. Today, you could have gotten a big boost on Bo Nix to throw for 200 yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately, he did not do that, despite throwing the ball 42 times. Also, I have SGP Sundays, where if you place parlays totaling 20 or more, you get bonus bets up to $25 in bonus bets. So download the app, use the code DNVR365 when you sign up, and you can take advantage of some awesome offers. There's the bet and get offer. You Deposit $10, place a bet of $5, you get $200 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you place a bet up to $1,000. If the qualifying bet loses, receive a match refund in bonus bets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And shout out to Coors Light. You guys know we love our Coors Light here. We've had a few of them today, and it's helped us chill, definitely.
Yes.
You know, we were a little bit antsy about the game and kind of, you know, thinking through a lot of stuff, but I think the Coors Light has definitely helped us to chill and have a chiller mindset. I think Hank is still babysitting one over there, but he'll finish it one of these days.
Right here.
But shout out to Coors Light, man. Coors Light is the good stuff, and you can get it delivered straight to your door if you go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. You don't want to miss out. Coors Light is cold lagered, it's cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When you embrace a chiller mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Remember to celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado.
All right, Zach should be here any minute. Real quick, 42 pass attempts for Bo Nix. Too many, right?
Probably. I think I would like to see that number in the 30s. Probably 30, you know, with a stronger running game. You know what we didn't see? We didn't see a lot of two-back running game today.
Yeah.
I think that's usually one of Sean Payton's bread and butters.
Yeah.
Burton really wasn't in the backfield.
You know, he had that one catch.
Yeah.
4 yards on like a third and more than 4.
Yeah, and I think that was like a split back look. It wasn't even like an I
That's
formation.
right, it was.
So
Oh, we haven't?
a little different compared to what we're used to seeing from Sean, and you know, maybe he'll get back to that. Maybe we'll see more downhill running game this next game.
All right, sounds like Zach is here, so we're gonna bring him in. Yep, there he is, right there. What is that? Is that?
I am here.
Oh, what's that field called?
Lumen.
Lumen, of course, Lumen. And what does Lumen do?
Lights up. I don't know. I have no idea. It did the opposite of what the Broncos offense did all day today until the very end of the game, where, I mean, they had nothing on offense, absolutely nothing cooking until the very end of the game. But guys, the biggest takeaway that I can bring to this show is what I just learned talking to Sean Payton at the post-game press conference. You look at Bo Nix's stat line and you are disgusted. That is so bad. According to Andrew Mason, a friend of the show, this is only the 10th time that any quarterback has ever had over 40 passing attempts and under 140 yards of passing. That's not including sacks. He had 108 30 passing yards, 42 passing attempts. Only the 10th time in NFL history that has ever happened, where it's just so inefficient. And so people look at that and they say, oh, Bo, no, not from a rookie quarterback that has all of our hope for this team. And Sean says, don't point the finger at Bo. Point it at the offensive line. Point it at the running game. Point it at the wide receivers. He pointed at me, is what Sean said. He said, point the finger at everyone else, but not Bo Nix. And it's going to be interesting when we talk to Sean tomorrow after he watches the tape, if he maintains this, or if this is kind of a way to really take pressure off of his rookie quarterback, which is not a surprise if that is the tactic. But from what he saw on the field, and obviously he knows the game plan better than anyone, only Todd Davis might know the game plan better than the guys on the field today. But Sean said, do not point the finger at Bo, point it at me. And just how different is that from Sean Payton a year ago with his other quarterback, when it was Russell Wilson who went out and struggled? Sean had no problem pointing the finger at Russ and saying, hey, I mean, what can we do on offense? What can we do as coaches? What can we do as receivers if he's not throwing the ball right? What can we do as offensive line if he's going to run into sacks? Complete opposite this time. Sean is not pointing the finger at Bo Nix. He's pointing it to everyone else.
That's very good to see. I think that means they definitely found their quarterback of the future, or at least a quarterback that Sean likes. How was Bo's vibe after the game? I mean, were you able to get in the locker room and see, you know, his reaction to the loss, his performance? How did he take everything today?
Yeah, I want to say this is the first time, I don't want to say Bo was rattled, but it was the most, rattled's not the right word, but it was the most kind of just shook, I guess, a little bit, but not fully, that we've seen him since he's been here. Of course, he is just like as calm as can be. This guy doesn't get rattled. It just seems like he was just a little bit off after this. And he said he was a little nervous, but it wasn't big time that impacted him. But guys, I thought it was pretty obvious that this was a rookie making his first start in the NFL with a line that was a little shaky, with a running game that initially was really good. There was a point in the first half there where the Broncos running game was averaging over 4.5 yards per carry, and Bo was averaging 1.5 yards per pass attempt. That is mind blowing. And yet the Broncos are still throwing the ball more than they were passing the ball. That was when the game was manageable. They had a lead at halftime, and they were still throwing the ball more than running it, despite the passing game being completely inefficient there. And then, of course, in the second half, the running game was just absolutely non-existent. The Seattle Seahawks said, oh my gosh, they're going to throw for 1.5 yards per attempt. They are so afraid to break out this playbook with Bo Nix. We've already seen him make an interception in the first half, which was just a bad decision, he admitted after the game. And I mean, how can you not? There were so many Seahawks there. And he really could have had 5 interceptions on this game, guys. So it was a rookie who looked like a rookie quarterback, and it was really the first time we've seen this. And so I'd say after the game, it was really the first time we'd seen this type of Bo Nix as well. But the Broncos running game was strong to start, and then they finished with Bo Nix being the leading rusher, which just absolutely cannot happen for this team to be successful, or really even marginally successful. That cannot be the formula. Jaleel and Javonte each finished with under 3 yards per carry. After starting the game, rushing for over 5, then at one point it dipped to 4.5 in the first half. Still, it was abysmal there in the second half. They were able to do nothing, where as the defense really started incredible. Obviously, first 2 plays, sack, interception, and then safety. You get 2 safeties in 1 quarter. You got to be kidding me. You better win that game. And then you get another one where the defense picks off a ball and you only get a field goal from that. The Broncos offense has to capitalize better, because in the third quarter, it wasn't, you could say that the defense got a little tired, but in the third quarter, we're not talking fourth quarter. Third quarter, the Broncos give up 149 yards to Seattle's offense. That's unacceptable. By the end of the third quarter, Kenneth Walker had over 100 rushing yards. We saw flashes of greatness from this defense in the first half, but Seattle just came out, punched the Broncos in the mouth. The Broncos don't get a first down on their very first drive coming out, and then Seattle has 3 straight scoring drives. So the Broncos were in this game before it got out of hand, and then it kind of got back into it. They were in it in the first half. They were winning in the first half despite really poor offense. There was still a lot of hope coming out of this game, but man, this was one that felt like they really had until that third quarter.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they really did suck. Did you, what do you think was the biggest thing that went wrong? Like the one thing where it's like, oh, if they just fixed that, they would have won the game.
Yeah, I mean, turnovers is that one thing right there. I mean, you see it. The Broncos, if Bo Nix doesn't throw that interception, they have a field goal. Now, it did turn into a safety, so that really only cost them 1 point right there. But still, you don't throw that. Maybe you get a touchdown. Obviously, Bo Nix has that other terrible interception. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He threw it into triple coverage. The receiver was not there near the end of the game, and that felt like, okay, game over. Well, then the Broncos were 1 inch from Riley Moss being able to get the ball back and then being able to drive again with 1:40 left on the clock. Obviously, a lot of ifs, ands, or buts here with this. So I think it just shows you that there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up, but we did see a lot of hope. But at the end of the day, I mean, sitting here watching this game, I know every Broncos fan just felt like, man, another year, but the same old Broncos. And just obviously the thing that's going to need to be cleaned up is Bo Nix. And now Sean Payton's pointing the finger at everyone else. So then everyone else, if that really is the case, everyone else needs to step up to help Bo Nix, because what you can't do is you can't go out next week with TJ Watt, who just had a monster game, and have Bo Nix throw the ball 42 times. I don't care if Justin Fields is the quarterback, if Russell Wilson's the quarterback, if I'm the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If Bo Nix goes out there and your 2 running backs average 2.8 yards per carry collectively, and Bo Nix drops back 42 times, that is a recipe for disaster. So they need to be more balanced, and Sean Payton did put some of this on him. Yes, it needs to be on him, because the game plan needs to be better next week as well. If you are at any point in this game winning or right in it like they were in the first half, and your running backs are averaging 4.5 yards per carry, do not constantly throw the ball with Bo Nix. And that was something that Sean Payton pointed to after the game. He said, we need to be better on first down. We can't put ourselves in these positions where then we have to throw because we have 2nd and 11, 2nd and 9. So what I would challenge Sean with is if you run it on first down and it's 2nd and 8 or 2nd and 9, run it again. See if you can get 6 yards there instead of then just resorting back to, okay, our rookie's got to save us here, 2nd and 9. We're going to have 2 straight passes. And obviously that first one probably they know a run or a pass is coming. And then the third one, of course, they know a pass is coming. So Sean needs to do a better job. And he admitted it today that he needs to help Bo because you cannot keep putting a rookie quarterback out there and throwing 42 times a game.
No, I think 42 is too many for a rookie quarterback. I do feel like conflicted with, changing the game plan because it did feel like it was a game plan for Bo to succeed. I felt like it was RPO heavy and a good amount of running. I just didn't feel like the RPOs were necessarily shots, to really get big yardage, and there was no yak. I feel like every time we threw the ball, it was tackled immediately. And the times that we did take shots, they were either interceptions or almost interceptions. So it's really hard for me to say, like, we got to mix things up and take some more shots downfield. I just didn't feel like they looked the greatest. As far as the offensive line, do you have any updates on Garrett Bowles or how he's feeling? Because like you said, next week, TJ Watt's coming into town. We definitely feel like we need Garrett Bowles. What do you feel like? Do you have any updates on him?
Yeah, he's going to be fine. He bruised his ankle. And I believe either did come back into the game or was going to be able to come back into the game if the Broncos got the ball on that final possession. So he's okay. He did not talk. He was very, very upset in the locker room after the game. He did not talk to media. This is a guy where when I saw him that upset, what came to my mind was, man, does Garrett realize this is like the same year or a different year, same results already? Now, the vibe in the locker room was a lot more positive than I think Broncos Country feels right now. The vibe was, man, we got a lot to learn from this game. There are some takeaways, but everyone that we talked to, offense, defense, Josh Reynolds, Pat Surtain, who else? Baron Browning, they all remain optimistic on this season. And so optimism from the locker room, optimism from Sean Payton, but Broncos Country, I know, is really, really feeling this one.
Yeah. When Sean says that it's everybody's fault but Bo, do you buy that?
I think that is him protecting his rookie quarterback at all costs. And as Todd kind of said, when I joined and explained this, Todd said, that means the Broncos have found their future franchise quarterback. That's what it really feels like, is Sean Payton saying, okay, I'll let a quarterback that I don't really believe in go down with the ship, a.k.a. Russell Wilson last year. Bo's the guy. I fully believe in him. And Sean might be hooking his anchor to Bo, saying, if he's going down, I'm going down too. Now, it's going to be interesting to follow this throughout the season. Does that continue where he sticks with Bo, or at some point does it change? Because especially with just how strong Sean came out to defend Bo after this game. And look, everyone understands, from media to fans, that this is Bo Nix's first game. If Sean would have come out and said, rookies look like rookies and we'll learn from this. He's playing in a really tough environment, which it was very loud here throughout the game. That's kind of one thing that I noticed about playing in Seattle, being here, is it's loud throughout the entire game. It's not just the fourth quarter. And so Sean had plenty of excuses to say, man, it was tough for a rookie. We got to do better for him. He's got to do better. But with how strong he was defending Bo, I think that says a lot, and I think that's going to say a lot moving forward. At what point does he kind of change his tune on him, if ever?
Well, I think we have a very interesting week ahead of us. We've made a lot of projections, and I don't know if they're all going to stand throughout the season, but I can't wait to have you back in the studio with us, so we have a lot to talk about for sure.
Yeah, I said they're not making the playoffs, right? I'm pretty sure.
No,
that was
you
my,
said 11
season.
and 6, and they were going to Super Bowl.
I said 10 and 7. They're still going 10 and 7. We can't lose hope after one game, guys.
All right. Also said being the Chiefs. Well, the dream isn't dead yet. Thanks, Zach. We'll see you on Monday. Tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow, guys.
Wow, tomorrow. Let's see. We've got a few minutes left here, not much. But were there any? What's your biggest bright spot from this game? One thing that you now feel much better about than you did a couple hours ago.
That's a loaded question. I think my biggest bright spot still has to be probably Jonathan Cooper, man. I think he played the most complete game out of anybody today. Pastor Tan, he's just Pat, so it's hard to say he did anything more than what you expect of him. But I think Jonathan Cooper today definitely did more than what we expected for him to do in his first game of the season. So Jonathan Cooper, man, bright spot.
Yep, I agree. That throws Zach Allen in there too.
What about John Franklin Myers too? He had a couple of
them
that really pushed him out to the edge for Cooper too.
Yeah.
Yep. No, offensively, I mean, there really isn't much. Like I struggle. I'm much higher on Audric Esteme's vertical. I'll give him that.
I mean, Greg Dulcich didn't get hurt today too, which was
a win.
Healthy. He was healthy all game, which is a win.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, offensively, I can't. There's nobody who I look at and say like, "Wow, good game."
Yeah. Yep. Well, you want to get to these super chats?
Yep. Glad we could end on a bright spot. Yep. What do these super chats look like? Oh, there's a bunch of them. Durka. Is that what that says? Durka. $5. Was the defense gassed in the second half because of how much they were on the field, or was that just me?
Yeah, I did think that they played. They were on the field a little bit too often this game, and so that does come into play in the second half, definitely early in the season before you're able to get your wind up. So that could definitely be a reason why there was a few missed tackles. Guys were able to run for a little bit further in the second half. I don't think the defense was fully there mentally or physically.
I agree. I totally agree. The Broncos are going to beat the Steelers next week. Believe it. Thank you, Wyoming Cowboy, for the $5.
Believe it.
Durka, again, have to say I still believe the 12s are loud and that defense was lights out. Hope isn't dead for me. Thanks for the pod, everyone. Love it. Denver Broncos for life. Glad to hear it.
You got to keep your belief, man. I don't think, like I said, it's the first game of the season. Bo Nix first game. There's a lot of firsts in there, It's like your first time. You weren't great. Nobody's Nobody's great their first time. It takes time. It takes work. You know what I'm saying? We're hoping we get better, though.
Yeah. I like how you George Payton is the worst GM of all time. Paying for the $2 Kodiak NFL. That can't be true, right? Just no, it can't be
true.
There's no way. Chris Galerno, $5. I'm really struggling to see all these. Rough game, but it was great being at the bar and talking to Henry and Todd. Well, thank you. It was great talking to you guys, too.
That made my night because Broncos didn't, but
the game did
appreciate you.
Damn. Bo could have made your night. NorCal 91, $5. Shouldn't Marvin be the 2? Was expecting a bigger role for him. Also, sorry, Todd. My Bulldogs gave Sack that work. Bay Area Broncos.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
No, that game was stupid. I don't know. Yeah, we definitely lost, but
they gave him a run there for a second.
Yeah.
There was a moment.
Yeah, it was a brief moment, and I lost some money to Lavelle Bailey.
Yeah.
And Justice Shenard. So, it's what it is. This is just a hell of a week for me, isn't it?
Wow, I'm 2 down. I don't seem like I agree that we're beating the Steelers. We'll talk all week. Jordan, $20. There was a lot of bad, but there is still a lot to build on. And we lost 6 in a game. We lost by 6 in a game where the Seahawks should have had 7 less from an ignored holding. Bring up that 7-foot tight end instead of Humphrey next game. Yeah, Parham, yeah.
Parham. He's tall.
I saw him for the first time this week because he's standing there and he walks by and you're like, oh, that guy's tall. And you're like, oh, I bet that's that tall tight end, and it was.
Sorry,
I thought that was a good one.
Amazing.
I thought that was a good one.
Riveting.
Skills
of observation. Don't go in.
Killed it. He had all the signs of being that tall tight end. Christopher Crenshaw. Hey, Crenshaw. That's your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. $20. Crenshaw, it's the big road there. Shout out to Bet365 and Henry. Finally got a big win. A disgusting loss, though. Yes. What is your guys' breakdown of the struggles in the pass game? A troubling amount of those passes were almost picked. What needs to change? Well, I'll start by saying I'm really excited, like I said, to be able to see the All-22 where you can actually see everything that happens. It looked terrible, though. It really looked like Bo was just throwing it to the wrong spot over and over again.
Yeah, it did. But I will say that I didn't see him miss anybody. I don't feel like there was a play where a guy was wide open and like, hey, he missed him. There was one high ball to Cortland that
There
he should
was
have had
early
lower
on,
pass.
yep.
But other than that, he's throwing into tight windows because the windows are tight. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if there's that many people running wide open and both not seeing them.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Was that all the super chats? Oh, wow. I guess we hit the one early. That's going to do it for today. Like we said before, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 10. Do we know? It must be 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
10:30.
10:30. We'll be back 10:30. Just come hang out. We'll be here, and we'll be talking about this game some more because I know you want to hear more about it. But it's a new week, and we'll talk Steelers later on. And, for all the things that the Steelers have going for them, that's a beatable team. That's not a team where you just say, we're dead, there's nothing we can do.
Not at all. We
So-
have a shot.
First win coming on Sunday, and we'll start talking about it again tomorrow morning. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.